Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am privileged once again to have Kesha from @textarot with me again today. We're going to be talking about the Lionsgate portal. We're going to be talking about all things spiritual, metaphysical, and tarot. Of course, we are both professional tarot readers. We both offer our services. Kesha, welcome, and thank you for coming back on again. So tell everyone where they can find you.
As always, Megan, it is my pleasure. So glad to be here once again. You can find me on Instagram @textarot. You see that on the screen. Also, that is where I do primarily my tarot and divination, oracle, wisdom focused work. You can also find me on Instagram @Wealth of Myself for daily quotes of inspiration. And on YouTube here at Lindsay, Wealth of Myself, where I post videos related to topics of metaphysics and how to integrate all of this knowledge and insight into our everyday life and how to make sense of it and make it work for us.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You know, when you're on a spiritual journey and you're trying to figure it all out, it really helps to have great material like yours, as far as meditations go and all of these things going within, introspecting, reflection. This is all very, very important on the spiritual path. A lot of people don't realize that once they set on their journey, the darkness that they have to deal with as they're going through their spiritual awakening, you know, doing the shadow work, doing the introspecting, all of those things. It's very, very important part of the practice. And a lot of people don't realize the ups and downs and the ebbs and the flows and the cycles that happen.
Yeah, because what gets us excited is the bright and shiny people that we think, "Ooh, I want to be like that. That looks so easy. Look at that flow." And then you don't see, you know, the swamplands they had to traverse to get there. You just don't.
Yes.
And that's how it's supposed to be. I mean, we all have our individual walk and we all, are living out hopefully the best part of it if we're doing the work and, going through the slog. And if we're doing it right, yeah, to the outside world it should look easy. Right? And
Yeah.
and it's because it is for you and you are following your path. You are well equipped. You have everything that you need to fully develop yourself. And that's going to have its own resonance and presence as it walks through the world. And how beautiful is that? So someone else sees and thinks, "Oh, I want that. Oh, that should be easy." And then you get into the work and you're on the path and it's like, "Whoa, what?"
Yeah.
And then and you're good for a while, like taking on new material and getting all these thoughts and new ideas, and maybe do a couple certifications even. But then you really get into it and you are your own teacher. Your experiences are your teacher. And the books become, it's like you graduated onto the next level. And hopefully where we are, speaking of next level and today being the Lionsgate, we're at that next step where if all this time we've been actively doing, my God, we've been doing the work, then stepping through the portal should feel like stepping on the moving pathway at the airport. It should be that grace and that ease moving into, because we've done the work, we've gotten ourselves to the airport, our bags are all packed, the ticket is there, we're being ferried to our destination at this point, and there should be a certain ease and grace and release and relief with that. And I love that, like say a week ago, I was thinking about Mercury retrograde coming in and what that would look like. And I know all the lore and the supposed fear that people have, but when you really look at it, all of those words, reflect, revisit, regenerate, like all of those words with the prefix of re that we get to experience and delve more deeply into during a Mercury retrograde. I could not have been more excited about, because the Lionsgate was happening, because it was like, it's also the release, right?
Yeah.
And the reflect, and like after all of this doing, my God, it's so nice to rest.
Yes, because it's been a long trek. I think for a
Right.
lot of us, right?
Yeah. And I think so often too with these magical dates that come up, because there's so much conversation and, depending on, hype even around the date, we get into this mode of, oh, I have to do something. I've got to journal. I've got to meditate. I've got to do the sound bath. I've got to,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, whoa, 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 no.
Mm-hmm.
If you have been doing the work, then, you can trust that whatever or as many or as few or as best you can spiritual practices you can engage in, you have done it at all is to your benefit, and that is enough. You are already enough. It's not like you're doing the process in order to prove that you're worth it and you deserve it. The process is to center you back into knowing that it's there for you and it's yours.
Yes, already.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So this
Yeah.
is a good time to reflect and start reaping the benefits of all the work that you've done, releasing the old, stepping into the rebirth of the new. So anytime we have this amazing amplified energy like this, it's always good to just, reflect on it. And if you want to do your things, you can, if you're already doing them, like Kesha said, you're already on the right track. Meditation, self-reflection, all of those things are super, super important when you're on your path to keep you grounded and centered and where you need to be, so that when something like this shows up, it's a wonderful experience for you. You know, I have a friend of mine that went to do a retreat in Mount Shasta, and that's what she's doing for the Lionsgate portal. And, tapping into all of these spiritual resources that we have around us are they can be good, they can be overwhelming, especially when you're first starting out, trying to understand all of these things, all the new energies, all the new information, and trying to figure out how to get your own spiritual routine together. And there's no right or wrong way to do it, really. I think people get hung up on semantics and, a little bit of gatekeeping maybe, and personal opinions about what has to happen and all of those things. But all in all, at the end of the day, if you're doing the work and, getting yourself calm and grounded and centered so that you can receive the abundance that you've worked for, I think that's where the magic happens. Right?
Yeah, I think we've moved from the doing to the allowing.
Yes, I can feel that.
And yeah, and right now, so your processes aren't so much about, meditation, hear me and hear my plea, and, let's work on this. It's more like, how can I receive? How can I hear greater? How can I, if anything, just express more of my divine light within,
Right.
Yeah, like make of me a vessel, like just a larger sense of I'm just receiving now. And what within me can be removed, or dissolved or what have you, that allows for more space of the good to come in.
Yes.
And whether that's just drinking more water to keep the system flush, or eating, a lighter diet, breathing more, like these very simple things. Because, there's nothing more advanced than the basics, right?
Exactly.
And I think we forget when we have all of these tools and processes and toys and ideas, that those simple acts, are as powerful as any of these other, crystals that we might be holding, or retreats that we might be going on. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do we allow more?
Yes, I've definitely felt this play out in my own life. I've had a rough few months, and then everything's kind of leveled out, and I realized, that I just needed to just flip the script and change my perspective on things, and it's hard when you're in the middle of it. You can't really see past the pain. You can't really see past all the chaos that's going on. And I just a flip just got switched in me, and I realized, what was happening, and I needed to change my perspective. And I'm quite stubborn. I can be quite stubborn when it comes to, my spiritual journey and what I do and the things that I do and my opinions and, how I view things. And I can be quite rigid sometimes. And so I figured out, hey, this isn't working for me anymore. I need to switch this up. I need to have this different perspective. And I took a deeper dive. I reevaluated my spiritual routine, my spiritual hygiene, all of those things. And once I, let go of a lot and allowed more space for the good things to come in and got back on a gratitude stint. I do gratitude meditations every day now, 20 minutes, just to get myself back in that mindset. And it's played out almost immediately, the flip that was switched in my attitude and my perspective. And then the abundance just started flowing in, and it continues to flow in. And it's like, you think back and go, I should have done this a long time ago. Why did I put myself through all this? But at the same time, you have to go through that, right? Because then it makes the abundance that comes in many, many different forms. So people think that abundance is just monetary, but it's that person that you meet at the right place at the right time. It's that
It's the
networking.
ease and the piece of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think too, the idea that, you got the lesson, like instead of just, I wish I had just done this from the beginning, the fact that you didn't, you can now see the contrast in what is it that, what worked and changed, like, and turned the page and made everything better. And so that gives you greater encouragement to just maintain doing that. Right.
Right.
And then even if you do get off of it, to be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm missing something key. And you come back to it faster until you're just on it all the time, because what other way would you want to be considering the outcome,
Right.
alternative. Right. So yeah, like, and that's the discipline. That's what this work is, because we go from, you talk about, flipping a switch. You really don't, it, like maybe that first idea, that turns you around and you start to do things differently, but because it's also new, you can't fill the void of knowledge of everything right away. You still revert back to what you knew and were practicing previously. And it's a back and forth until you get the hang of this new thing, until you can, just walk solely in that. And then when that gets hard or confusing or seems to go away or whatever it is, there's still the propensity to go back to what was before. And you learn the lesson and you see the difference in the contrast. And it's like, okay, no, I'm just going to stay over here. I'm going to recommit myself. Right. And it's just a back and forth until here is the only place that you stay and forward is the only direction you go.
Right.
And that's the work and the discipline and, quite frankly, the joy. And when you talk about, abundance coming in many forms, the one that I've been meditating on and noticing a lot this week is, they talk about pride goeth before the fall. I say peace goeth before prosperity.
Yes.
Because, even if the check hasn't come yet, even if the deposit hasn't hit, the fact that you could be at peace in this moment and not be concerned about it is the fact that it's already here. Right. Like, forget what you're looking at, forget having gotten the ding and the notification on the phone. Like, when you can just, no, I got that. That's fine. I'm good.
Yes.
And you're sitting back in and you're like, no, I'm good. You're allowing it in, as opposed to, where is it? Amen. What? So, yeah, like, I think that's such a huge shift, and that's what's so important. Like, what we've been wanting. Like, this is where we wanted to get to, and so that sense of peace before it all happens. That's why I put up a video this last week about, because there have been so many things that I've been hearing about. It's coming. And I'm like, coming, it keeps us in a future state of anticipation, right?
Yep.
And if we're gonna be impeccable with our word, we want that shit here now.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to look at it, look for it here now. And even back before that, I say a couple of weeks before, I had made notice of, like, begin to notice where you are seeing aspects of your dreams coming true.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easy to, when you're like dealing with problem after problem, to be focused solely on the problems,
Right.
not realizing that, wait a minute, there are these, wait, we talked about the glitch in the matrix, like, wait a minute, I saw myself doing this other, wait, that's right, I did this thing happened, oh my god, I've had that dream for the longest. Like, you need to lean into that too, and if not, if more, because that's going to energize and revitalize you to being more open and allowing and willing and excited about the possibilities that brings them in, as opposed to, oh my god, I gotta solve this fucking problem too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so glad we're here. I'm so glad. Talking about gratitude. Yeah, I am just so glad to relax a little bit. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been tough. I can't believe it's August already. I mean, the year is like half over.
Yeah.
And it went by so fast. But
Yeah.
you know, I realized, I guess what had happened essentially was that I got out of my whole routine, my discipline. So for me, me in particular, I have to have like routines, and I'm really anal about my routines, and I will plan my life completely around them because that's how I need to do it for me personally. And so, being extremely disciplined is the way for me. Now, it may not be that for everyone else, but I have to have structure. I have to have physical movement. I have to have energy movement. I have to have, exactly, everything planned out. And once I figured out that I had gotten so far off my routine that it dawned on me, like, oh my God, okay, this is what's been happening. I've gotten off of my rigorous routine, and I always need that. I need to have structure and routine for me. And so, when you require that, it's really good to just make sure that you're maintaining that no matter what's going on, even if you're feeling shitty, because every time I get triggered or something, I sit down on that mat and I just meditate for 20 minutes. I mean, it just kills, that lower level vibe that had been residing at. And then like I'm able to transcend that to the point enough where I'm like, okay, I can change my perception on this. I can change the way that I feel for this. And it was just like, it was almost immediate. As soon as I got back on my routine and got back into my discipline, it just worked wonders for me. So I just wanted to tell people that, like, if you're stuck in a rut, if things aren't going well, the answers are always within. Find out what the root of the problem is. What is it? Like, what's causing you to derail so quickly and go down that dark rabbit hole of problem solving after problem solving after problem solving? And we live too much in the past, remembering what happened to us, and then we live too much in the future. So when you're trying to manifest something, it's not like you're making it happen, like just making it manifest out of thin air. It already exists. It's already a possibility. What you have to do is align yourself with it on a vibrational match. And then when you do that, that's when the fruition comes in. And it's more like a release effect. So you can concentrate on something really hard and you're focusing all your energy into it. It's the release and the let go is when it starts to come in. So evaluation, releasing, and then going with the flow and see, I knew all this already, but I was so far gone down in that hole that, I completely got off track. And once I realized exactly what the problem was, now I can look back and go, I'm grateful and thankful for all of those things that happened to me because now they've gotten me to where I am. And that's the part that people forget is like, even though you're going through all these things and these hard trials and tribulations, getting rid of toxic people out of your life, and starting things new and trying new things, as far as your work goes or whatever, not being so rigid and not willing to be flexible and kind of adapt and go with the flow, those things were blocking me. And so once I let that shit go, dealt with those things, cleared the path, then I was able to finally see where I needed to focus my direction to get back on track and back to the place that I needed to be. And so that's where I am now, and it's amazing. And I can look back and go, oh my God, that was pretty rough. That was pretty bad. But now I know exactly why it happened, and why it happened the way that it did, and why, I had to go through that in particular for me to get to where I'm at now, and things are good. I'm calmer. I'm able to deal with stressors better. I found out what the root of the problem was through introspection. And so I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful for that. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for, everything that I've done. I'm grateful for my clients and students and the people I mentor, because, they're a big part of my dream and what I want to accomplish, my end goal, which is not that far off, and so anyway, I just kind of wanted to give everyone a little pep talk as far as that goes. Like, I know things are rough. I know things are going, in a shitty direction. I would suggest staying off of the news media and all that stuff to keep yourself in the right mindset. I quit watching the news years ago, so I hear everything word of mouth now. But that's another thing that's gonna, kind of throw you off track, is getting stuck in those ruts of that, those negative type mind situations that we all run into, collectively and individually,
You, when you were talking about the change of perspective and how illuminating that was, the image that came to mind was that of the Hanged Man. And I think when we first see that card, at least in my study and understanding of it, it always spoke of adversity, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to be hung up by something. But the more you look at it, the more you study it, the more you see it, you realize he has a halo, and he's holding on by his foot, right? And it's playful.
Yeah.
It's more like, yeah, I'm just hanging out here because I'm this special. Like, I can just do this, and this is my happy place, and I'm just going to hang out for a minute and get recharged. But it's, in your case, you're talking about meeting adversity by stepping back and, looking over your spiritual hygiene and your routines, and then re-engaging with what works for you. And that's not too different from someone climbing up on the tree and deciding to hang themselves upside down to get a different perspective, and just relax and let it flow in a different direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't, I just can recall, when I would get that card in the past, it would always speak to adversity, but now I can see it as, no, it's an opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's where the gratitude comes from. And it's like, I'm not bothered by that card now. I'm not, I can accept that with grace and wisdom. And you too, you are, talking about being so grateful for all that happened. It keeps you from being non-resistant, or keeps you from being resistant. Yes. And, judging, oh, I hate that I let myself go through that. I should know better. Or, if that hadn't happened, I'd be so much further along. We don't have to look back at those experiences with a negative eye or judgment. They were just simply experiences that we needed to walk through in order to get us to this next step on our journey.
Yes. And that's the nice thing to see when you're going through it.
Right. And that's the, the compassion that we need to have for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That we would, if we saw someone else struggling to climb up a rock, we'd run over and offer a hand. But when we're the ones struggling on the rock, we offer ourselves a kick in the pants. Like I don't need your foot up my ass. I need your hand helping me up.
Mm-hmm.
So we've just got to learn to be that for ourselves. But yeah, that compassion, I think, is what would make the difference in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even think about the hangman card. So that halo around his head represents enlightenment, through being still, being there, going within. It's all about self-sacrifice as well. And so it's like you've got to sacrifice yourself upon the altar to get to where you need to be, and the sacrifices, the experiences, the hard lessons, the hard life lessons that you have to go through to, and it gives you a moment of reflection. That card is also about reflection. And
yeah, it gives you a moment to reassess something and cross it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking about tarot, I don't know if I go through these stages where when I do readings for people, I will get patterns that pop up. So I finally stopped getting the Tower card for everyone's stalker. I was getting it, they were getting the moon card. But now it's like all about the court cards. I've done so many readings where it's like mainly court cards, which is unusual. And through so many people, I've done probably about 30-ish or more in the last week readings, and every single one of them, it's like the readings are slammed with court cards. And
Well, that would be that ascension to a higher level, right? We're not down doing the mundane work. We've integrated all of that. We've marshaled those resources, and now we get to enjoy and steward our labors.
Yeah. Do you notice that when you do readings for people, like patterns that will show
Definitely
up?
patterns that will show up. It seemed like over the last couple of weeks, maybe the last month or so, all of the readings had been about, you're on the verge of, you're on the precipice of, it's coming, it's here kind of thing. To the extent where I think one last week I was like, look, if you haven't gotten the message by now, but yeah, so I've had a lot of that, but that's been good because, I mean, how often when we're walking into something new do we want signs and validations? And even if we had one wouldn't be enough, is it Gideon? Is it Gideon's trumpet? No, who is this? What's the story of the fleece where he's like, okay, never mind. I won't go down that flight of fancy. But anyway, there's a story about, well, I'll believe you if the ground is wet, but the fleece is dry. And so, God does that for him. And then the next morning he says, okay, but I'll believe you if the ground is dry and the fleece is wet. And so God performs that miracle for him too. It's like he needs to go back multiple times just to make sure. And we're all like that. I mean, we get the answer. We already had the answer as soon as we asked the question. We had the feeling, we knew in our heart what the answer was. But we still go to a coin. We still go to the cards. We still pull out a pendulum. We still talk it over with somebody. We still see the bird fly up at the path in front of us. We see the license plate. I mean, it's like, come on. How many times can you see it, right? Like, nothing but angel numbers. And we're still like, where is it? And it's just, so, so I've seen that pattern. I'm curious what the next pattern will be, because obviously, like, this is a turning point, so I think it's going to be a little bit different. And I think my reading today was that transition. So I'm curious what's going to move forward, because I think, so today the cards are still on the desk. I had, so the where's the camera? 9 of Swords, 10 of, where's the camera?
Yep.
Ten of Wands, and
Mm-hmm.
then King of Swords. And I was
Mm.
like, well, look, for all that stress, all those sleepless nights, all the consternation, all the worry, all the stress, all of that we've been on over the last however long, however many years. I mean, it's been some time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's all in the service of getting our ducks in a row,
Yep.
gathering our, marshaling our resources and putting things in place, right? Lining it up. And then we
Mm-hmm.
come into the King of Swords, where now all of that is brought together. My domain is working for me, so it's time for me to sit and trust and know that
Mm-hmm.
it is working as it should be, and now I get to focus on other endeavors. And the real, the focus here is the sword, and that's going to be our knowing, our gratitude, that faith and trust.
Yes. Yes.
And so just maintain that, and the butterflies at the top. That's the transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Be in at the crown. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You've done the work, and it's time to sit on the throne and watch your kingdom flourish. See how your
Yes.
domain progresses. It's to be the steward now, and
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
I'm I'm so looking forward to being the director.
Yes. Yes. I've gotten a lot of readings with the
Yeah,
same message. It's like you're right there. You're right
Seven
on
of
the
Cups.
precipice.
Yeah, Four of
Yep.
Cups would be good. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Ten of Cups, those aces. I mean, that's all. So yeah, I'm curious to see what the next set of readings, the next period of readings will look like.
Yep. Yep.
Hmm.
We have a hard month this month with astrological placement, so the middle of the month is going to get pretty dicey. Um.
You know what? I've heard that, but I don't feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think, yeah, I just, yeah, that's it. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard that, but I don't feel it, and I think part of that is
Mm-hmm.
because, well, I'm trusting, right, and I'm
Yeah.
doing all the work, and if I can maintain my own equilibrium,
Mm-hmm.
even if that doesn't work, there's always forgiveness,
Yep.
like, so there's no need to let myself get tied in a knot over something, because it's all going to work out in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I was getting at too. Was like,
Yeah.
working with the energies, from astrology. You guys know I'm super into astrology and um big believer in all of those things. I mean, you can see it play out in history. Um but my point is like you don't have to succumb to that. You can you know be over that. You can take the energy as it comes in and transmute it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
transmuting those energies that you may think are more negative. And everybody always freaks out about Mercury retrogrades, but it's a good, they're a good thing. They're a good thing to reevaluate and reanalyze and
And
reprogram. And
forearmed is it forewarned is forearmed?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it gives you an
Yeah.
opportunity to direct the energies and maintain your own equilibrium in the midst of outer chaos,
Yeah.
and not be so affected by the same the things that other people might be thrown by. I mean, to some
Mm-hmm.
degree, we all are, and I'm fond of saying this. We're all under the same stars,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't mean we all have to flip out to the nth degree. Some of
Right.
us can. Some of us can stop at C or D.
Yeah. Instead of going all the way into Z, right?
We can
Going into the
try. We can
going into
try.
that going into that tailspin, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, it's just this year has been nuts. The energy's been off the charts. Um and so I feel collectively the energy that's going is like we're making way for a brand new era to come in. I think that this is all in preparation for, the great things, the great changes as a society and as a collective consciousness that we're going through at this time. And so individually, we're seeing it play out in many different ways. But as a collective, what I feel in general is that this is the in-breath before, we see the results of this new era that we're moving into. Mm-hmm. We're ending the age of Pisces, going into the age of Aquarius. Things are gonna get worse before they get better, right? So it's not letting those things and those moments and that, fear mongering to kind of throw you off track, right? It's very important to take the energies as they come in, process them, use them to your advantage. Don't get wrapped up in, all of the craziness and chaos that's going on. Just basically get the inside right and the outside will follow is what we're getting at here is, you can acknowledge what's going on, and then decide how you're going to react to it, right? So those are the big things. How you react to things, how you deal with things, how you process things. And that's where the real growth lies, when you figure out how to do that in ways that are right for you. But collectively as a whole, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing and feeling this kind of craziness, chaotic energy that has to play out a certain way so that we can get to where we need to be collectively, And some people feel it more than most, and some people, will let it scare the shit out of them, and some of them will lean into it. It's just a matter of perspective, right? It's like we were talking about perspective. Yeah. Well, what can you do with the energy that is given to you? What can you do to transmute it and turn it into something that's beneficial and good for you, to help you grow on your path? Those things are important. They're very important. It's all about perspective and how you see things.
Yeah, it's like we've collectively gotten a case of the zoomies, and we need to shake all that nonsense off, and get it out of our system before we can settle down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So, are there any projects or any things that you're working on?
Oh my goodness. Where to begin? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I've been making fire cider. For those of you who don't know, and I'll put up something later regarding it that you can find. But anyway, fire cider is this health tonic and food flavoring that I make. I've been making it for about 10 years. Selling it for about 3, and I got into my first store last month.
Awesome.
So yeah, and I'm working on that development. So yeah, fire cider, this health tonic. It's got it's on a base of apple cider vinegar. There's garlic, ginger, onion, a hot pepper of some sort. Usually I choose Thai peppers or habaneros. Lemon juice and peel, black peppercorns, turmeric, horseradish, rosemary, burdock root, and depending on the flavor, there may be hibiscus with different spices. There may be pineapple with the burdock root, and then the original flavor without any of those things.
Oh, wonderful.
And yeah, so I've been making that for quite some time, and it's developing. It's become a thing, and I finally settled on a name. So I'm excited for that, and now we're moving into labels and bottling. So that's next on the list. And the cool thing is, so I've been I've been doing handwritten labels, and reusing the bottles from the vinegar and whatnot. And I got into this store, and so I'm preparing that batch for delivery in end of September. But also on that trip, I was looking to scope out other stores that might be a suitable fit. And so as I move through this process and get all of these things done, I'll then be able to go to those stores and be like, look, I have this product. Because I was concerned about having a handwritten label, and it didn't look professional, and it wasn't the bottles that I wanted to use, blah, blah, blah. But apparently all of that is nonsense. And when you have something that someone wants, it doesn't matter what it looks like. You have what they want, and so I have what she wanted, and we're working on that. So that's great. Yeah, so that's been that's consumed my my week this week, and getting that down. I did roughly 12 gallons I made of spiced hibiscus and original, and I have 5 gallons of the pineapple burdock root that is waiting to be bottled. So I'll have all 3 by the end of the month. I'll have roughly, 5-6 gallons each of all 3
That's
flavors.
wonderful.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched about that, and I will still have another month to get another 2 or 3, or another batch of either 2 or 3 flavors. I'm not sure yet, but so I've got some time to work with that, and that's all progressing quite nicely. And then my videos, I have been doing more guided meditations, and they have been so fantastic. And of course, yeah, when I record a meditation, I'm doing it with you, so I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know what I'm going to say. I have an idea of what the topic is, and then we just start. And the videos that I've put up, those meditations, when I have done them, have left me soaring for days.
Nice.
So,
I love that.
Yes, like I don't know, like my people aren't writing me back comments about how much they're enjoying the meditations. I'm just assuming that I'm putting it out, like I'm putting it out there. It's delighting me, and if you have watched one of the meditations and felt it, then you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, like that has been so primo and so sweet this week. In fact, I did a meditation for a friend, and I'm telling you, like when we were done, I couldn't sit still. I was flying, like just, and that lasted for like 2 days. And I was like, dang it, if I had known it was going to be that good, I'd have recorded it. Like it was so good. It was so good. So yeah, I've been leaning more into the meditations. And so people on my channel, y'all who are watching, if you're interested in having this kind of feeling, I'm telling you, you just got to come, like, hang out. So, and then I did one, oh my God, okay, I did one a couple weeks ago. This was back, we had the full moon in Capricorn, so that was July 20th, that weekend, I did a meditation to release and receive. And I remember, like, I was sitting there, and, we did the release portion, and I just felt so clear and empty, like a silver but a stainless steel bowl that was like completely clean, like felt so fantastic. And then, we move into the receiving portion, and oh my God, like, oh my God, it felt so good. And I was like, oh my, so like, that was just the best. And for the last, it's been like, 10 days, it's been since then, I'm like, I want to go back and do that meditation again, but I haven't had time. And I've done other meditations instead, but I'm like, no, I want to go back to that. I want to feel that again. So yeah, so that's been another focus of my energy. So yeah, I expect that we're going to be doing more guided meditations on the channel, because
wonderful.
Like and the thing is, I have been getting, talk about recurring messages, or maybe I was just hard-headed and didn't want to hear it the first 20 times. But I have been getting again and again and again, you need to meditate. And I think you talk about you getting off your practices. My meditation practice had gotten a little loose. And Spirit had been like on me, like, look, you need to tighten up. You need to tighten up. And I remember I was sitting and I was having one of those moments, like, it's not here yet. I got money, but I got bills next. It's not here. And then Spirit was like, look, how long have we been telling you to meditate? if you would just go sit and meditate, one, it would make you open and available and still to receive the things that you need. And not only that, it will calm the nonsense. So when you just go meditate, and I was like, yes, okay. And so I started like daily, like, okay, I'm doing a real meditation. No more like, no more farting around. Like, I'm doing this for real.
Yeah.
And having re-engaged with that level of sincerity has made the difference. And then the fidelity I feel to the work in terms of like, oh, I'm going to do this guided meditation for these people and, do this thing. Like, being engaged in that has been so beneficial to me that I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to be doing more of that. And y'all need to get on board because there's something going on. One thing that I realized today, because we joked before we began, y'all. I just want to tell you, like, so the last couple of months, I've had this bright light, and we've had some issues, and I'm like, all right, fine, I'm going to get some lights and fix this. So I finally like invested in and got the lights. But we go to sit down, and because of the way the weather is outside and whatever, it turns out the sun is all I needed, and I'm just in the right spot in the room, so I didn't need to use the lights. But I have them anyway, and one of the things that I realized today that I'm really excited about is I have wanted to do these meditations, like for balancing the chakras and clearing the body and everything. I can walk you through it and talk you through it, but I usually do it standing up. But the way that my camera setup was, I didn't have a camera like placement that I could get high enough to get the full body so that you could see the full movement. Well, today, as I moved these lights into the office, I realized, like, wait a minute, I might finally have the height I need to get this done. And I'm already keyed up to like do more meditation. So after we finish this today, I'm going to set this up and see if I can get the full body shot to do these bigger meditations. So if that's the case, y'all have to know that's coming, because I've wanted to do that for the longest time. And I think I finally, because there's more included with the lights than I had originally realized, but I think it's going to allow me that flexibility. And if that's the case, then the shit is on. You guys, we're going to be having, we're going to be doing some bigger meditations, like full body stuff. So that I'm excited about. And then, speaking of, teaching on these things. So, I read a lot of Catherine Ponder. I've got a whole shelf of, there she is right there. And she talks about her, in her story, she was living in a one-room apartment or one-room house or something, and barely getting by, and she was asked to write these articles or teach a class or something, and she started doing that, and by virtue of the material that she was teaching on prosperity, she became more prosperous, and that's what led to the different opportunities. Like, the more she taught and wrote on the subject, the more she became emblematic of her subject, and she grew from that. And of course, I taught English as a second language in Korea, and I love to write. I never learned so much about writing as when I taught it to other students, right?
That's
so these things teaching. You learn so much. And so right now, I taught on the Aquarian when I was doing that series, and now we're doing Ask and It Is Given, and I'm teaching those processes, and of course I'm doing them at the same time that I'm teaching them, and to see them unfold real time in my own life has been such a blessing and such a treat. The level of synchronicity, like for one, so a few weeks back we were on process 5, the prosperity game, where you write down, you take a checkbook register and you start with 1,000 or 100. I guess you start with $100, and you give yourself $100 each day, and you spend it all the way to zero. And the next day you do 200, and then the next day 300, and you spend down to zero. And when I was teaching on it, so the reason I knew of this process was because 20 years ago when I was introduced to this book, a friend of mine had mentioned this process to me as a way to manifest money, and at the time I needed to buy a car. So I did this process, and lo and behold, I was able to manifest a BMW 3 Series. So that was one. And I was like, okay, cool. And then she gave me the book and she said, oh, that process is in the book. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I think I kind of like glanced the book over the years, but never really read it. And so now we're doing it on my channel. So I'm actually doing the processes. And there's 22 of them. And we're only on process 8. And the prosperity game was process 5. And when I was reading about it, it was like, if you do this for a year, you will have spent over $66 million. And I'm like, that's the kind of money I'm talking about, because I had just said like the week before, I've made over $50 million for the companies I've worked for. It's time for me to make that money for me.
Right.
And I was, I was just being, big and bad when I said it, but I meant it, but I didn't know how that was going to come to pass. And then like a week later, I'm doing my video and there it is. And I'm like, so we've been on it. And one of the things that I didn't realize would be the case, but now makes sense, and I might have even alluded to in my video because somehow I was talking to my future self. When you have had, say, money is relative, so you have X dollars that you're generally working with on a regular basis. When you ask for more consistently to be provided, and that's what your expectation is, it changes. Because so now I spent all this money on shoring up these different activities or foundations or whatever. So that's done. And in my mind, that's done. And when I first started, I was also getting money about the same rate. And so the things that I was putting in my register that I'm going to buy and do, money is coming in and I'm actually buying and doing those things. So now my mind can't tell the difference between what's the game and what's the register. Like, no, she wrote it down that she needs money for this, and then she goes back and highlights it when it comes in. So we got to make sure that everything is highlighted, and that's the way that it's been. And it's just been like, whoa, really? So that was like that started a month ago, and I'm still doing that process because I committed in the video that I would be doing it for a year. And I don't know exactly how long it's going to take us to get through the rest of the book, but I imagine that as I continue to do this and we're adding on the other processes, there's going to be something of good report, like I'm going to have something to tell you. And even last week, I had this funny thing happen where I've been wanting a journal for about 2 months now. And it's kind of expensive. It's kind of high end. It's Kesha. Like, I really want this journal. And the thing that I wanted it for, like, I couldn't just, I wasn't just going to go out and buy this expensive journal. Like, I needed it to have a reason. And the reason that I thought I was going to be using it for, it turned out not to be the thing. And I was thinking, yeah, and I was thinking about it that morning, and it turned out like, no, I want it for service, but that's not what it's going to be for, and I don't need it, so I'm not going to get it, I guess. Okay. Like, oh well, I tried. And then later that night I was filming my video for process 8, and it's called The Book of Many Positive Aspects. And it's like, you need to take, and oh my God, let me just grab this for you a second. This tripped me out. I thought this was so funny. So I read through the chapter before I actually film the video. So I've come from the morning where I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just not getting it. I sit down that afternoon to read through this, and the first thing it says, to begin the process of the Book of Positive Aspects, purchase a notebook that feels good when you hold it in your hands. Choose a pleasing color, and with a line width that matches your writing style, with paper that allows your favorite pen to glide along comfortably, and which opens comfortably and lies flat. That is such specific guidance to buy the damn notebook. That's what I wrote. I was like, y'all, there's a Brahmin journal I've been wanting to get. And so I read it and I ordered it, and my journal should be here tomorrow. And I'm just like, I know, like, yes, you can always go out and buy stuff that you want. But I really was serious about, I'm not being profligate. Yes, it's an expensive journal, and yes, I absolutely do want it. but I'm not just going to run out and buy it just because. Like, I needed it to have a purpose. I didn't want just a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably more important than the journal itself, like that it be used for its dedicated purpose.
Right.
And so to be teaching on this and to have that dedicated purpose show up, and the whole idea is that the book of positive aspects is that in this journal I will write at the top of the page, you'll write down say the name of a person or a relationship or an endeavor or whatever the thing is, and then you just take a few minutes to list all the positive things about that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a beautiful process that is going to be. Talk about, you're being in gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And, already, like, yeah, we can feel gratitude in our heart and it comes out here. We receive from the universe and it comes out our hearts. But there's something about writing it down on paper, speaking it and like putting it forth and making it firm. And at the same time, you're excited about what's coming and about this thing. Like, you're putting out so much positivity. At the same time, you're making it firm. It just can only come back to you in that way. And I'm just so excited to see what's going to happen from me writing in this book of positive aspects, in this journal that I was very intentional about wanting, and was able to treat myself to because the work requires it. And that's what I wanted it for. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like, I mean, ask me, yeah, and, readings. So yeah, just, ask me how things are going. Things are going great. What am I into? All of it.
Yep, exactly. I love that. I love when the synchronicities start rolling in. That's how you're on the right track.
Yeah.
And things are about to just, slam you, right? When all those synchronicities.
Yeah.
I love when that happens.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful. So that's how you guys, like when you're starting to work on your manifesting and you're doing the work and you're doing your routines and everything, and then those things start flooding in, like literally landing on your face and wiggling. Like those are your signs that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing when everything starts to flood in like that. That's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that, you've got this firesider thing going on. I'm so excited for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you guys check out her videos. They're phenomenal. I watch them. They're very well done. Kesha really knows what she's talking about. She's just a phenomenal teacher and a guide, and please check her out. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel. Hit her up on Instagram. Get some of her services. I also do services too. If you guys are interested, you can just hit my links. I'm going to put all of Kesha's links in the video description below. I think we'll go ahead and end it for today, and you guys will see us next month. We try to do this at least once a month to kind of touch base and promote what we have going on. So Kesha, thanks again so much for being here with me today and talking about abundance and prosperity. And you guys check her stuff out. Just let everybody know one more time where they can find you.
Sure. On Instagram at textarot and Wealth of Myself. And then on YouTube at keshatlindsay or Wealth of Myself. And readings by text, 321-375-9837.
All right, you guys definitely hit her up. She's a fantastic reader and a fantastic guide and sage of art. And I'm privileged to have her on. So we will see you guys next time around. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Thanks for sticking around this long. If you haven't subscribed to our channels, please go ahead and do that. It really helps the channel grow. We're just trying to reach as many people as possible to help them on their spiritual journey as we can. That is why we do what we do. All right, guys, if you have any questions or you want to talk about certain subjects, make sure to drop them down in the comments below. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you next time around. Thank you. Bye.